What's up, Fish Tube? Bearded Bob once again, doing another check-in, a little update on tanks in the fish room and kind of what's been going on. So this right here is my 55-gallon, and basically the only thing in here now is these yellow Neocaridina shrimp, that and tons of hair algae. As you can see there, this flossy algae that's growing over. And then whatever this moss is, see, it's all just attracting duckweed now. Up until about a week ago, I had a giant filter on the back. Oof, man. One of the 2 pods, I don't remember what size it was. It was another marine land filter, whatever. And I just replaced it with 2, it's so dark you can't see, but with 2 200 size bio-wheel filters, sponge filters. I just took all the media that was inside of that big one and split it off into 2 separate filters here. I let this one run for about a week before I added this other one. This other one I just changed and just stuck it on here. So it's been about 2 weeks in the making, trying to make sure this one was completely and utterly cycled and could hold the bio load of snails basically and shrimp. Because look at this giant pile of snails down here. Insane. I can only imagine what it looks like underneath all of these. You see just duckweed floating. I've been trying to one tank at a time and pull out the duckweed. This one is going to be the last because it's so hard to scoop this one, especially when there's it seems like it'd be easy right now because all the shrimp seem to be down enjoying the food and whatnot. So this probably would have been a good time to scoop this tank. But as you can see, there's so much duckweed trapped in all this moss and in the algae and on the filter and stuff. It's going to take quite a long time to make sure I eradicate every last little piece. Lots of fun. Get duckweed, they say. Actually, they said don't get duckweed, and I didn't believe them. It's 2 years in the making, and it's in it was in every single tank that I had. And so every time you stick your arm in the tank, bam, armful of duckweed. Lots of fun. Anyway, going back to this, what do we have in here? We have just some Bacopa caroliniana, some whatever moss this is. Looks like maybe a willow moss. It's not Java moss. And this back here is Christmas moss. You can see the Christmas stalks sticking up. So there's a little bit of that in here still. I did pull out a ton of it before. Sold some, had to throw away a bunch of it because it's just full of hair algae. Future plans on this tank is just going to be to pull all the moss out and get rid of it. Either sell what I can and throw away the rest. And then I think I'm going to end up putting some guppies in here. I'm not sure what variety yet. I have a couple of tanks that are getting overpopulated with fry. And it kind of would be nice to have a couple of big tanks full of guppies that I could scoop out of in the future. I did start a Patreon. So if you look at the link down below in the description, there'll be a link to the Patreon. There's a couple of different levels of membership if that's something that interests you. Either just supporting the channel or if you want to be able to get some of the stuff when I sell it. So that'll be plants, shrimp, guppies, lots of plecos, you know, all that stuff. Lots of, hopefully this moss isn't too full of hair algae. This side looks okay. And obviously the Christmas tree moss in the back there, those are pretty easy to pull the fronds off and strip the hair algae out of it. This stuff is all going to get weeded out. So this is my next project in the couple of days off that I'll have next week, is to just pull all this out. As you can see down here, I got rid of all the moss that was down here. Now if you look down in this tank, all that brown stuff, that's just thick. You can see how it ramps up here. That's all just like dead, decayed algae and food and poop and all the bottom parts that turned brown of the Christmas tree moss or Christmas moss that was down there. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to try to vacuum that somehow, and not a lot of fun. That's what happens when you let things get out of hand too much and you don't. I should have been selling that moss this whole time and keeping it smaller, matte instead of giant mats, because it all kind of just went bad. Also in here, just lots of crypts, green and bronze crypts kind of mixed in together there. These ones I'm gonna probably go in here and pull a bunch. They've kind of spread from this back corner all the way out, and they got shaded out by quite a bit of duckweed when I wasn't taking care of this tank so well. So they kind of grew kind of long and leggy, and I'd like to get in here and just pull them out, shove them all back to the corner, and then let them kind of branch back out again. That way I have one big corner where anything that I put in here can hide, the fry can hide and stuff when I put guppies in here. And then this other side I'm going to fill in with different plants once I get rid of all this moss and hair algae. The shrimp will just stay. You can see some of these need to be culled out. There's some that are kind of clearish. Most of them are pretty good. There's a few that are not looking good. There's a couple that are got the back line on them, and I'll pull those out and stick them in a different tank too. But overall, I mean, underneath all of this, there's probably 4 or 5 pieces of driftwood back there. You can see a couple sticking out the top. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's some more back here too. Kind of hard to see. But we'll get all this taken care of. Here's one shrimp that needs to be culled for sure. Almost pale yellow, clear. So we'll get in there and do that. This is a long time that I've been raising these. I think it's over 2 years now these guys have been in this tank. And in the last probably 5 or 6 months I've kind of let it go and haven't done as much culling as I should have. So got to catch back up again. That's always fun. But it's just something you got to do when you got all these tanks. Lots of stuff happen in life and things get out of control, and you just got to rein it all back in and keep heading forward. Yeah, so you can see there's also this piece. This is another Ludwigi. I don't remember what type this is here, but this is all it's ever done. This is the first time I've ever seen another little stalk branching off of it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's meant for like a high light, high CO2 kind of thing, and it doesn't do very well in this tank with, you know, almost no fertilizer and definitely no CO2. So we'll just let it go, and maybe I'll pull that out and stick it in a tank that it might have a better chance. Like a 10 gallon, it might actually do better because it'll be less distance between the light and it. God, I gotta get in here and get these snails out of here too. Look at, there's just piles of red ram's horns. Yeah, I'm sure if we look through here, there'd be a lot more too. Now we're just getting reflections. Oops. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan in the future here. Move all this stuff back, get some other plants, maybe I'll pull some of this driftwood out of here too, or stack it up nicely so there's give it some height in here. Because in a 55 gallon, it looks pretty bare in this whole area with nothing back there and with no background on it, and I didn't paint. You can just see the basement cement wall, and not a lot of fun. So we'll do something here, maybe some taller plants in the back, some Ludwigia and water wisteria, that kind of stuff, and then get some more crypts going on here. And yeah, I think that's just about it. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out the Patreon. I'll be updating that here I'll be updating it at least weekly, and depending on if I get any Patreons, I'll start updating daily. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Peace.